Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Learning Curve SG podcast again. And in this video, we would like to talk about positive discipline. This was something which I heard recently from one of the workshop sessions which I've attended, and therefore I am very curious as to what is it about. And today, I'm very lucky to have Mr. Beng over here, who is the HOD for Student Management, as well as the President's Award Teachers winner in 2023, to come and share with us about what positive discipline is all about. Yeah, so Mr. Po, let me just cut to the chase and ask you directly, what exactly can you help our audience understand what is positive discipline and how is it different from the traditional form of discipline that we know of?
Okay, I'll try to explain in my own words.
Sure.
So, hi everyone.
Okay.
So, for me, positive discipline is more of like an approach whereby we talk about mutual relationship with the students, getting them to build up on their own skills like self-discipline, how to be responsible for their own actions. And by doing so, we create this sense of belonging in the school. Rather than just using punishment or rewards. So, I mean, if we compare to the traditional form of discipline, the one that maybe we are all very used to in the past 20, 30 years ago, where the teachers will come in with the cane sometimes,
Yes.
and it's just purely giving punishment, asking the students to comply, my way or the highway. So there's no negotiation by the students. The students just have to obey. And that creates that fear in the students, right? So I think positive discipline is another way where we really seek to then understand from the student's point of view, form relationships with the student, and also get them to understand the choices as well as the consequences should they do something that is not so appropriate or right. So I think that is possibly the main difference between positive discipline compared to the traditional form of discipline.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if I understand you correctly, for positive discipline, we should, first of all, we should start off by knowing our students and understand their perspective so that we are able to help them to become more responsible decision makers and be responsible, therefore be responsible for the choices that they have made. Yeah. So if they have made the wrong choice, okay, we go through the same process to help them understand, okay, what they have done is not right, and also maybe help them process their own thought process in why they did something that is not acceptable, so that they can correct the mistakes on their own in the long run.
So if you were to look at what you have just explained about positive discipline, the thing that I can hear is really it takes a bit of time. It takes time because if we compare to the traditional form of discipline, you just go, you just punish. There's no time lag. Either you comply or you go out of the classroom. But for positive discipline, it talks about understanding the students, as you rightly put up. Then from there, we understand what are the underlying beliefs, underlying reasons why is a certain student behaving in a certain way. And from there, then we can actually help them, to self-regulate, get them to understand what are some of the social behaviors and norms that they should do, and what are the rules and regulations in the school, so that they don't do all these things. Because if they do all these things, then we have to come to the logical consequences, which we can talk about later on.
I totally agree with you. And I think if we only use the traditional way of discipline, with our students, they will only understand, that they cannot do something because, I will be punished for it. They will not be able to learn properly how to actually go about making the right decisions, so that a more pro-social behavior can be developed within them and benefit them in the longer run.
I mean, if we know about it, we are, especially in a secondary school setting, we are talking about teenagers when they are getting, 12 years old to 12, 16 years old. And I mean, we all know that student will only listen to you or listen to know what you know unless they've been listened to. So they will not listen to you unless they are listened to. So I think that's very important for us to talk about connection before we correct them in whatever ways, right? Yeah, so to me, we go back to, I remember the workshop that we attended on positive discipline by Miss Sha'en. When we talk about positive discipline, and there are three things that struck me and I remembered it. So the first thing that we just shared about would be really about connecting with the students before we correct them. Right? So we really must take time to know our students, to perhaps just spend some time to chit-chat with them, find out how they are doing, not just academic. Sometimes it could be their hobbies, their interests, or what happened during the weekend. So I mean that's what the discipline team or the student management team in the school does. We sometimes will be in the morning. We will actually be saying hi to them in the morning at the side gate. Why is that so? Because we also want to find out from them how were they previously, last weekend, yesterday, did something happen? Sometimes when you see somebody who is, sad looking or very down, perhaps something happened. So when there's this connection, when they find out that you actually care about them, the next time if something happens or if they do something that's not so right, there is already this connection. It's about putting this coin into a piggy bank, Sometimes when you deposit coins inside, then the coins gets, when you form that connection, sometimes you use it, then you can take it out. So I think that's important for the first thing, the connection before correction. And the second thing that I think we have been telling the students, the teachers also, is about being kind and being firm as well. So when you say what do we mean by be kind and firm? Can we be kind and firm at the same time? We can. Be kind means that we don't punish them straight away first. We listen, we empathize with them. We find out from them, hey, what happened? Why did you do this thing? Get their perspective, get them to share with us what happened. Then from there, we can talk about being firm. Now, firm means what? That means we stick through, we follow through what we have said to them. So for example, the student didn't hand up his work. You tell him that, okay, if you don't finish that work, tomorrow you're going to stay back to finish that work. Well, they can give you whatever reasons, right? Maybe last night I couldn't sleep well, or I was having a match, or I was having national games. I can't do the homework. But do you still need to finish your homework? Get them to understand it. Yeah, you need to finish your homework, you have to do it. So today you have to stay back to finish up the work. So there's still that follow through. It means you'll still stick by. You're firm enough to tell him that some things are non-negotiable. You still have to follow through whatever you need to do. So when the students know that you listen to them, the students know that you actually stick through your consequences. It means I have to stay back if I don't finish my homework. I will do it. Because I know that it's my choice not to do it the previous day. All right. So I think that is for being kind and firm. And the last one is about positive language. Positive language is really tied with positive discipline. It must come hand in hand. Positive language, as we all know, is about, how do we affirm our students, not just, talking about when they are doing things wrong. We want to affirm them when they are doing things right as well. And we also try to spot their talent and their strength. Everyone, regardless of how you think the student is, there is something in them that they are good at. It may not be academic most of the time. It may not be other things that we want our students to do. But there could be other talents. Like they may be good in sports, good in music, or they're good in certain IT skills. We don't know. So I think it's important for us to know their strength, affirm them, and I think all human beings like to be praised, like to be affirmed when they're doing things that are right. So I think in our school, I would say that we have been doing quite a few things, right, to affirm our students. We have affirmation packages for them. We came out with the affirmation claw machine recently, right? We affirm students on do. And these are all positive things, positive energy that we want our students to have. So at the end of the day, it brings back to what I said about the sense of belonging. When students feel happy, when students feel that teachers are caring about them, they want to find out about them, right? And they affirm them for what they do right. I think this whole culture shift with positive language, positive discipline, will bring about this safe and conducive environment for our students. And we cut down on students who don't want to come to school. We cut down on students who misbehave in the classroom. And it's a whole shift in the culture rather than going back to a traditional form of punishment where every day the teacher goes in, back face, scolds for nothing. And students feel that it's unfair. Why are they always getting a punishment? Why is the teacher not finding out from us? Why are we not, behaving a certain way? So I think that's how I gathered from all these things. Yeah.
Right. So if I distill what you have just shared, right, three key things: we connect before we correct. Number two, we need to be kind and firm, but yet at the same time firm in terms of ensuring that our rules, boundaries, and limitations are being enforced. All right, because I mean, ultimately, this is a school. We can't have everyone coming in doing whatever they want. Number three, we use positive language, with our students by affirming them when we catch them doing the right things. And doing things that is really pro-social and beneficial for themselves. And when these three things are being done well, right, we help create a sense of belonging in our students within our school community. And in the long run, they should be able to behave well automatically without us teachers holding on to the stick in front of them, which ultimately I think can be quite detrimental if overused. But there might be some of our audience here who are thinking, does that mean that we do not have any form of traditional discipline anymore? Does that mean that there's no more consequences? Can I just pick your brain to have an understanding what you have to say about that?
Well, there is still a need, no matter what, there's still a need for consequences. We talk about school rules and regulations, it's all in the handbook. The students need to understand there are certain boundaries that they cannot cross. Certain things are non-negotiable, like rudeness to teachers, fighting, or even like stealing things from others. They know that all this are not allowed. And I often explain to the students why is that so, because school is like a mini place for you to try a microorganism of the actual world out there. You have 10 years in the primary and secondary school. You do something wrong, something that's not right. At least we're all here to tell you that it's wrong, and you correct it. When you go outside to work, you go outside, when you are an adult, the world may not be so kind, and there will be the law, the actual Singapore law or whatever law to give you the consequences for that. And if you break the law, then you have all the things that come to your way. So we always tell the students that in school, we guide you along. And when we talk about consequences, it's really about the logical consequences where we draw them to something that because you do it, this will come. Right? And for example, if they are late, right, they have to stay back after school after accumulating a few times of lateness. Why? Because we want them to stay back and we want them to reflect. And how then they plan on their own such that they can wake up on time, board the MRT or the train or even by other modes of transport to come to school in time, on time for lesson. Why? Because we need to prep them for the actual exams, in 4 or 5 years' time. So the consequence must still be there because there are certain boundaries that they cannot cross. If they cross, if it's serious, is serious offense, they need to have the consequences. And it's also for them, once they know that they have done something wrong, they reflect, right? They think about what it will be another plan they can come up with such that they don't do it again. I think it's important for us to still tell them that these consequences are because of the choices, the wrong choices that you make, right? And then from then on, they can actually do the self-management, the responsibility, the self-responsibility. In fact, it's our three RC values, right? Our responsibility, resilience, respect of others, and also care. These are all our social skills that we want also our students to develop over the 4-5 years that are in St. Gabriel's.
Okay. Yeah. So I hear from you that traditional discipline still has a part to play within the sphere of positive discipline itself, because ultimately, if students graduate from school, they go out into real life living, they will face consequences if they break the law as well.
Accountability.
Accountability. But I also hear from you that even when we met out consequences to our students, it's not just for the sake of it. So they need to understand that there's a deeper meaning behind why they need to face the consequence. For example, if they keep coming late or they use unkind words to other classmates or teachers, they have to face some kind of consequence because they have not lived up to the value of respect and care to another person. And therefore, the consequences that they are facing is to help them learn how to be more respectful and more caring. It's not about making the student being afraid of authority. So even when the traditional discipline kicks in for students to face consequences, like staying back to do detention and things like that, it's not for the sake of mapping out the consequence because the student did something wrong. It's really helping them to understand that they are facing this consequence because we want them to learn how to be more respectful, more caring, or more responsible.
Yes, I think you totally sum it all right. And I like the way you talk about getting them to understand the why. Because many of times students will come to us and say, why are we getting these consequences? And the students need to understand why are they staying back? Why are they made to do this and that? Like you said, there's a logical consequences of what they have done. And when you explain to the student and you have that connection with the student understand that, yes, I done something that's not right. Okay, and I'm willing to accept the consequences. I will use that time to reflect, and I'll use that time to better plan how I can be better the next time around and live up to our values. And that's important. Students need to understand the why or why we are doing all these things, and we need to help them so that when they graduate from us, they will be a better person. They will know social norms, social skills, to be able to collaborate, to work with other people, to show care, respect, be responsible, and resilient in the world out there. Is going to be very different when they graduate.
Correct. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And maybe let me just move on to another question. I think before I ask you this question, right, I just want to say that whenever I walk past your class, okay, I notice that you don't need to raise your voice to get the students to actually comply, okay, to what you want them to do. And even when you're handling so-called discipline cases at the area which we always handle the cases, you seldom you seldom raise your voice towards our students. And yet the students willingly do what you tell them to do. So I think from what we have discussed so far, right, seems like there is a need for us to first understand our students first. And so could you maybe share with us, okay, how can we actually engender positive discipline, okay, within my class and with my students? and perhaps how can we build better positive teacher-student relationships? Yeah.
I think first and foremost, students don't care how much you know until you care, right? We all know that. And actually, when the first day when you step into a totally new class, the students are actually sizing you up in a way. They're looking at how you do things, how you address them, how you talk. So it's very much about that touch points that you have with the students. So first and foremost, I think every teacher is different.
Yep.
We have different character, different sets of belief systems as well. But I think at the heart of it all teachers, we all know we care about the students. So I think if we come from the first focal point whereby we have to know that at the end of it all, we care about the student, but how are we going to go about doing that? For me, actually, when I took on the role of the HOD student management, I actually told the principal then that I am not the traditional kind of so-called DM in the past where I will shout at students. So don't expect me to be shouting at students. For me, it's a different way, right? Because I feel that there's no point shouting. There's no point, I'll say, degrading in a way or student, because I think students need to be treated with dignity. Right? They need to know that all of us are actually together and we are all in the same school. And what do we want at the all? So a lot of times we need to explain, we need to tell the students how we can work together as a class. Whether are you teaching them as a subject teacher or are you there as a form teacher? You have to show your genuinity. You have to show that you care and collaborate with them. Whether it's about forming the rules together or about coming together to set up certain norms in the classroom. So for me, I use a lot of humor. Because that's me. So to me, I don't teach math in a very, I would say, dry way. Okay? A lot of times I insert some humor. I try to bring some relevance to the real world. And this warm tone, this humor in the classroom actually helps to lower the anxiety, right? Less anxious. Students know, hey, you actually are quite friendly. Actually, they can actually come to you when they need help. That helps to lower down the anxiety and that helps to then bring that positive, conducive environment for us to even start doing work or even working together as one to learn certain subjects or even as a class. So I think that's one very important point. And secondly, I think we need to know our students. Every student is different. Again, we need to spend time, knowing what perhaps their CCA, what is their talent, what is their interest. Strike a conversation. It can be a very simple 1 or 2 sentence, but it really helps you to form that bridge to everybody else. So it goes back to connection again. Right. So start off by doing that. Start by relationship building, the connection. And once you start right, this will help us to create this very high quality TSR. And once you have TSR, then the rest of the thing about content knowledge, all this will then come in. When you don't have TSR, then it will just be the students passively receiving what you tell them. And maybe most of the time, they may not be even listening to what you say. So I think what I gathered over the past number of years is really to form that bridge, that connection. And how to go about doing it, it really goes back to individual teachers, their own character. Because, for example, I use humor. Some of them may use other things, right? So I think it really depends on the individual way how comfortable the teacher is in forming that connection and relationship with the students.
Yeah, totally agree with you. So, if I gather what you have mentioned, right, when we first meet our student, especially the first touch point with our student is very important, and we should, take note of the kind of tone that we use with them. Perhaps we also can use some humor to break the ice so that the students are not so anxious when they see their teachers, and therefore they are more willing to open up to the teacher, and perhaps find opportunities to work with them together, like for example what you mentioned in terms of setting up class norms, class rules, and these are opportunities for us to actually communicate with them. Yeah. So when we use these opportunities to communicate, right, it gives us the chance to know our students. And then when we know our students already, right, we create the connection. Yeah. And once that connection is created, right, then the understanding is there. Therefore, the correction becomes easy. And when the correction becomes easy, whenever our students do something that is not right, then positive discipline kicks in, because they are more willing to face the consequences, okay? Or, okay, before they even want to do something wrong, right, they will quickly adjust, okay, their behavior to do the right things instead of doing the wrong things. Yeah, so it all boils down to positive teacher-student relationship. But the work starts with, okay, creating communication opportunities with our students first. Yeah. And if we can get this cycle going, then I think positive discipline will, become automatic within our student body itself. Yeah.
I think that the initial part is difficult. I mean, for example, the student management team, when the new Sec 1s comes in every new year, we always spend almost half a year trying to get all the routines, all the setting expectations right. Students when they come in Sec 1, they may not know what are the rules and expectations. So we need to keep on constantly telling them the rules, the routines, and we have all the posters, all the reminders in the classroom. For example, our no handphone policy. Every single month, every start of the term, we have to go on to remind them, and we seek the help of everyone, every teacher, every form teacher, to be consistent in our approach, to be vigilant, to really work together as a community, so that we can all support, especially the Sec 1s, to know the kinds of values and expectations that we want them to have. And usually, second semester, Sec 2, Sec 3, Sec 4, we have lesser of such cases of students who do something that's wrong. I think that is a whole positive culture, that sets in. So time invested right at the start may seem very heavy. Just like in classroom, when we have a new class at the start of the year, it may seem quite daunting to having to have the energy to know every single one again, having to connect with every single new person. Even the old students that we know, we still need to connect with them. Because things may have changed in their family or even in their life. So, but at the end of it all, the time invested will make sure that the tracks are laid well. Things can go faster down the road, and we have less of those kind of winding roads that we need to tackle, or broken railways for that matter, that we need to address. So I think as long as we start things right, then things will iron out much easier in the second half of the year, or even down the road when there is Sec 3 and 4.
Totally agree. We should invest time to know our students so that we save time later on, okay, to met out maybe perhaps multiple consequences. If we have not known our students well, to help them to develop positive discipline so that they can self-adjust their behavior. Imagine if our students cannot self-adjust their own behavior, and this would probably mean that the school will have to met out the traditional discipline, okay, many times over, many days and many months, which is unsustainable. Yeah.
It may not be just unsustainable, it may be something that they don't really care at the end of the day. Because so what if you cane me? What if you punish me? I think it won't work because in the first place, there's no relationship. There's no connection.
And if that's the case, right, I think we would have failed our students because they would not be able to develop the outcomes of education which we want our students to have when they graduate. And if they cannot develop the outcomes of education when they graduate, right, they will suffer when they are out in society in the long run. Yeah. Okay, so perhaps let me just quickly move on. Okay, I personally believe that positive discipline is able to help us engender the development of E21CC, like communication and collaboration. Maybe Mr. Po, can you share with us your thoughts on whether this positive discipline is actually capable of doing that?
Indeed, I think positive discipline does develop some of the 21CC skills that you mentioned about. So, for example, you talk about communication skills, collaboration skills. Whenever two students get into some squabbles, some quarrels, what we do, we get them to, first of all, write down the incident form of what happened. After reading, after we talk to them, then what we usually do is, besides the consequences aside, we always get the two of them to come together and they will talk things out. We get them to have time to share with each other what went wrong, what was not so right about the actions of their somebody. And by communicating their ideas or even their actions which are wrong, the other party also understands where they are coming from. So by doing that, actually they are learning how to communicate in a respectful way, because during the mediation sessions, the student management people will be around. So we will get them to talk, one person to share at one time. Sometimes we have even a group of students, if it's a group of students who are doing something that's not so right, a circle time, we get them to just share with one another what has been done and be respectful about the communication. So that develops their communication skills, which I think it's definitely we can do that in positive discipline. I think, in fact, if you talk about collaboration, same thing, right? After they have done something wrong, sometimes what we do is we get them to design a posters. We get them to even come up with PowerPoint slides,
Yes.
and share with their classmates what is not so right. Okay, and from there they also learn how to collaborate with one another to do that particular project. If it's a group of students that are not doing something that's not so right. So definitely there's some form of collaboration involved. In fact, if we talk about 21CC skills, I think by going through the reflection questions, by getting them to pen down the reflections questions that
Critical thinking.
It's actually about critical thinking, because they got to reflect, oh yeah, just now when I was very upset with my friend, I did say something that's unkind. Actually, I shouldn't have said that. Why? Because it will affect them, right? And we are friends to begin with. Why must I say something that is not so right? So in future, what can they do? Right? Maybe when they want to say something out, they should pause. They should think about whether what they say will affect the other person, whether the unkind words will affect the other person, then they don't do it. So it's actually a lot of processing.
Yes.
So that's one example, right? So, or if they failed to do something expected in a classroom, like multiple homework that they don't want to do, we get them to understand why is that so. Oh, maybe it's because maybe I don't want to do, or maybe I don't know how to do. Then what can you do? So at any point of time, there's a lot of reflection going on. They got to then understand why they make certain choices. And from then on, then they may make better choices at the end of the day. So then become better decision makers. So definitely, positive discipline, rather than just punishment, pure compliance, allows our student to develop the social skills, the 21cc skills, which will help them when they definitely move on in their future work life.
Yeah, sounds like it's not just about self-adjusting of behavior. Students can benefit from actually developing tangible soft skills like communication, collaboration, and critical thinking, and which will help them develop their social and emotional competencies so that they can self-regulate their behavior. Yeah, so wow, really something really very powerful here. And I think we spoke a lot, lah, huh? Yeah, and I really thank you for generously sharing some of the ideas, some of the beliefs that you have regarding positive discipline. Maybe we end off, this video with this one question for you, lah. What is one nugget of wisdom that you would like our colleagues to take away from all you have shared with us today?
Okay, I think I did share this with many of my colleagues in the past as well. If there's one word of wisdom, would be as educators, we must know that every student is different. Every student is unique, and they all have their own strength waiting to be discovered. So as teachers, it's very important that we spend some time to uncover their strength, uncover their interests and things that they like, and help them to build on their strength and to develop all this. They talk about values, about character in their 4 to 5 years that with us. I think that's important. I think as educators, we won't immediately see the seeds of our label. It will really take time. Perhaps you won't be able to see it many, many, many years down the road. But as long as our students know that we care, the students know that we genuinely love the work that we do, many years down the road, they will come back and visit us. They will share with us some of the good memories they have with the school, well, as us teaching them. I think when we hear such things from whether it's students in the past or students now, we always feel that the sense of satisfaction, the sense of probably that accomplishment that we have as educators. It's very different from other jobs, I would say.
Yep, I totally agree. Yeah.
And yeah, I think at the end of the day, we always believe that every student can be matured and they can do well in life. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much. And I think what you have shared is really, really very true. Every student is unique, and every one of us, including our students, have their own strengths. And it is it is our duty as educators to help them uncover their strengths and also develop them.
Yeah.
But we must always bear in mind that as we are developing them, right, results may not be immediate, but as long as the students know that we care and we must never give up, they will reciprocate and most likely will develop well as well. On top of that, I also want to remind our viewers, I think the key thing that will help us in developing positive education is to first get to know our students so that we are able to develop positive teacher-students relation. And once that positive teacher-student relation is being developed, like what Mr. Poh has rightfully shared, the connection, comes in easily. Once the connection is in, the correction comes in even more easily because, when students make mistakes or do something that is not right, as long we just need to let them know, and there is a high chance they will self-correct, and there's no need for us to go through the process of the traditional type of discipline anymore. In the long run, we want our students to be able to self-regulate and self-adjust their own behavior so that they are able to develop the right values, the social emotional competencies, as well as the E21cc competencies as well. Yep. So that is all we have today, and we really want to thank Mr. Po for sharing his experiences and his strategies on helping us develop positive discipline today. So thank you so much, Mr. Po.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. And if you like today's episode, do give a like, share, and subscribe so that more teachers can benefit from the content. See you in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.